TCI is brought to you by Spendthrift Stallion Patio Prado, El Prado's most versatile Grade 1 winner.
Welcome back to TCI, your inside track to the Triple Crown. Alongside Joel Cunningham, I'm John Siegel. Well, Joel, the Belmont is always more exciting when we have a potential Triple Crown winner on the line. We have that with California Chrome, a horse who looks like he's doing really well coming into this race. We haven't seen him in person. We'll be going up this week. We'll be able to get, our eyes on him, see how he looks in the flesh. But Joel, all the reports and what I'm seeing in video and photos, it looks like the horse is coming into the race great.
He really is, John. Other than that throat issue he had right before the Preakness, that's the only thing we've heard really bad about this horse. Some people thought maybe he was training a little choppy in his first day at Churchill Downs. Then he really looked great leading up to the Derby. Obviously had a great trip both in the Derby, Preakness, able to take care of his competition in there. But now things get a little different. He's certainly doing well, John. But a third race in a 5-week span, we've seen Triple Crown dreams end in Elmont, New York. That 1.5-mile distance on one of the biggest dirt ovals in the world, it's going to be his biggest challenge to date.
Well, let's jump right into the TCI top 10. Let's see what we got here. We'll start off at number 10, and we have Kid Cruz in at number 10. Tell me why you put him in on the list.
You know, Kid Cruz isn't really a fast horse. When we start really digging into the speed figures, John, he's a horse that really didn't get that setup from a pace standpoint in the Preakness, but I liked him less and less in the Preakness when I started really digging into his speed figures and his class level. I just don't think he's really ready to make that jump into this caliber of horse quite yet. The good thing on his side, in my opinion, again, we'll talk dosage quite a bit because I believe in dosage as a true tool that is applicable to a 1.5-mile race on the dirt, and we'll get into that. But so when I look at him, he makes a top 10 for me. Even though I don't like a stone closer in the Belmont Stakes, he makes a top 10 for me because he does have a great dosage of 1.50, sensational, being by Lemon Drop Kid, a horse that himself won the Belmont Stakes, so that gets him on the top 10.
All right, let's jump right in here to number 9. This is a horse that, he really has run some good races, and that's Right On CURLIN. You got him in at number 9.
We talked about how well, your favorite California Chrome's doing at Belmont. Everybody's talking about as well Right On CURLIN, how he's training. To me, he didn't really impress us Derby week, and we've talked about that. He was just very average there, in my opinion, but he really flipped the light switch on, in my opinion, leading up to the Preakness. I thought he looked sensational. He ran sensational. His best lifetime performance coming back in 2 weeks. Now he has to come back in 3 weeks. Go longer in here. He's out of a Stormcat mare. Right. And that really hurts his dosage index, John. He is one of the worst dosage numbers in the field. I think it's going to be trouble for Right On CURLIN seeing out that distance, and that's why he's number 9.
All right, and at number 8, we see Windstar with Commissioner in here. This is a colt they've been really high on for a long time. Joel, we know that they can get it done in the Belmont. You think they got a shot with Commissioner?
Well, there's no question. I think he has the right style, John. To me, from 8 to number 1, when we look at our top 8 in here, I think all 8 of these horses you can make a case for that can win the Belmont Stakes. Here's a horse by AP Indy, John. Hasn't shown the class level, but he has the race over the track. Last time out, it was his best Bris number, a 102 Brisnet rating. And again, that was over a wet track. But being by AP Indy, John, he just wants to keep coming. Grind along, grind along. He doesn't have a substantial move. I think 1.5 miles at Belmont hits him right between the eyes. So watch out. Commissioner with a step forward in a race over the track. I think he could be a dangerous outsider.
All right, and now I see him at number 7. I just keep seeing this horse, Social Inclusion. You just keep putting him on the TCI top 10. Joel, he's not even in the. He's not even guaranteed to run in this race yet. They might not even put him in the Belmont.
They may not, but they should. Don't run him in the Met Mile. If you want to run him in the Woody Stevens, then look, I understand that. I think he'd be tough in there, but the Met Mile, please don't run him in the Met Mile. If you're going to take a shot, run him in the Belmont Stakes, put him on the lead, pray he doesn't wash out before the race. And I tell you, if it's 2 minutes to post, they're going in the gate, and he looks great, not a beat of sweat on him, and it looks like he's handling things professionally. Watch out, John. If he gets cruising along on the lead, nobody respects him on the lead, and he's able to do a commendable, just get loose, or maybe a Datara, just totally get loose out there, I think he could take you a long ways. He's got that, a 2.50 dosage number. So in my qualifications, that sub-3 dosage index is very key in here if you look at history. So I'm just saying, if they let him alone on the lead, I think he could take him a long way.
All right, and then let's look at the next one here. We got Commanding Curve. This is a horse that, they decided to skip the Preakness, be rested and ready to go for the Belmont. Tell me, do you think that was a smart move?
What's interesting is that people always want to compare this horse to Golden Soul because it's Dallas Stewart, long shot, big runner-up performance. Nobody expected it in the Derby. This horse has a lot better dosage profile than Golden Soul. Golden Soul being that Mr. Prospector mare, had a, in the mid, 3.5 range. He didn't figure to handle a mile and a half at Belmont, and we obviously question how good Golden Soul is now. He hasn't won a race since then, but when I look at Commanding Curve, class is a big question mark for me. But he's a galloper, and he has a great dosage number, John, a 2.14. And again, I'm going to go to these dosages quite a bit. That's one of the better dosage numbers in the field. If this galloper can just keep coming and coming, he definitely can be effective at a mile and a half.
All right, in at number 5, we see Samurai. Joel, this is a New York bred, so it's going to be his backyard. They also decided to skip the Preakness, bring this horse in fresh. I want to remind everybody, this horse was undefeated until the Wood Memorial. He is a good horse. He's got a big shot in here.
If you remember the Wood, too, he just kept grinding away and actually caught Social Inclusion on the wire to be second that day. He's no threat to the closing kick of Wicked Strong in that race, John, but here's a horse he didn't give up in the Derby. He just couldn't go with California Chrome. But he kept coming, he kept coming. He doesn't have a big move. He's also going to be somewhat forwardly placed, and he's going to grind along. You look at his dosage, it's the best in the field. Here's a dangerous horse, John, with his paternal, his sire line, Noble Causeway. He's got a 1.22 dosage number. A lot of people say, well, he's having Indian Charlie Mare. He can't go that far. The dosage number is very strong in here, 1.22. Watch out, Samurai grinding away. That one-pace kind of style he has, I think he can be dangerous.
All right, in at number 4, we see this was a latecomer to the Belmont. We got Medal Count deciding to come back in here. I know you really like this colt. He's by Dynaformer. What do you think of his chances?
Well, I only question the dirt with him at this point. He's a half to a Greatest Stakes winner at Churchill on real dirt. Certainly has a lot of dirt pedigree. Dynaformer is the only question mark. Can get you a dirt horse, obviously can get you a great turf horse as well, and he loves a synthetic. But when I look at Medal Count, I thought he ran pretty well in the Derby. He had a great spot, and he doesn't have a big move. He's just going to keep coming and keep coming. We've talked about that before, and just sort of grind along. And obviously when Danza cut off his path in there, he wasn't going to win the race, but I definitely think he could have been a lot closer than he was having. He's not a horse that you can stop and start over again.
Right.
I just think he's doing so well in here, training so well. He's got a bullet work at Churchill. If he comes now, remember, he had 2 races before he went to the Derby in a very short turnaround. Now he has a month off, training well, and he's going to come to the Belmont. Should love a mile and a half. Look at that dosage number, 2.13. Again, mile and a half should him square between the eyes. He has the right grinding style. I'm just saying, watch out. I'm not sure about the dirt, but if he handles Belmont, watch out.
All right, then we got Wicked Strong in next. Joel, this horse ran huge in the Derby. He broke from the far outside. He's coming in. They decided to bring him in fresh to the Belmont as well. What do you think of his chances?
Well, he's a Grade 1 winner in New York. I don't like that he's an inconsistent sort. I don't know what you're going to get from Wicked Strong, but I liked his breeze the other day. I think he breezed a mile the other day. I thought he looked very good. New York is his home base. His trainer does a lot better when he doesn't have to ship around. He's a Grade 1 winner in New York. And I love the way, if you go back and watch the Wood, I think what's key in there was he was not a stone closer in the Wood. Stone closers, in my opinion, like Kid Cruz, they don't run well in the Belmont. You have to be able to have some sort of cruising speed, track, fairly well early. He did that in the Wood and then came home strong. Again, the dosage number, you look, he might be by hard spun, but a 2.27 with that depth of stamina in the female family. I definitely think Wicked Strong could bounce back in here with a big performance.
All right, in at number 2, you're going to have some explaining to do because there's going to be a lot of people that aren't happy with you. We got California Chrome in at number 2, and you got Toneless in at number 1. Tell me why you did that.
Well, we had California Chrome, number 1 on the TCI Top 10, deservingly in the Derby and the Preakness, but I think a mile and a half is a different story, John. This horse actually has the same dosage profile as Smarty Jones. He has a 3.4 dosage index number. That is very high. He's got that pulpit pedigree, obviously being by Lucky Pulpit. I just really question his ability at a mile and a half, and we'll see. He's so good right now, and he's so much better in these horses that I definitely think he can win the race, and he may be a horse that I'll pick to win the race. But when I'm making these top 10s and in the indexes and the tools that I use to try to come up with the most formidable contender in the race, and interesting, I said he was that in the Derby and the Preakness, even though I liked the horse better than him, and I picked him to finish second in both those races. I actually think Toneless grades out better for me. When you look at the depth of the female family, John, third dam by Buckpasser, second dam by Topsider, Son of Northern Dancer, first dam by Pleasant Colony, has that local win over the track. Now, worry about his feet. He had some feet problems coming out of his prep race, the Peter Pan, but I just think Toneless, with that what does he have, a 2.78 dosage number, sub 3, that qualifies for me. He has the biggest Brisnet number in the field with a 107 last time out. To me, he just grades out better coming back in a race like this than California Chrome.
All right, I know you've been talking dosage and you're into this, you know, and I'm not saying there's not something to be said about it. I just want to remind you, 1998, real quiet, this much. I mean, he lost by this much. His dosage, 5.29.
That's right, but he lost. And he got beat by Victory Gallop, a horse that could run all day. And John, let me just note that, you know, going back to 98 or 2000, you can go back, you know, basically 17, 18 years. There's only been 2 horses with a dosage higher than 3.0 that have won. That was Commendable, who's stolen on the lead the year that Fupeg and all those good horses didn't run in the race. And then you had Sarava in 2002, who was by Breeders' Cup Classic winner Wild again, but he had a 4.50 dosage number. He won it at a monstrous price over Medaglia d'Oro and some horses in there. So I just, you know, you go back and look at all the good horses that have gotten beat that had poor dosage numbers. You look at all the long shots that have won this race, the Dataras, this, you know, you can go down the line on all these long shot winners. Many of them didn't come back and never win a race again, but they qualified from a dosage standpoint. Ruler on Ice, I mean, I can go on for days. So I do think you can, you know, a good horse can come from anywhere. Lucky Pulpit can produce a grade 1 horse.
Sure.
I get that, but I just don't think you can outrun your family in terms of the distance. Maybe you can in terms of the quality, but in terms of the stamina, I think that the numbers and the results show that you run towards your pedigree there, and if you're not able to get it with your pedigree, then I think that brings a lot of these other contenders into play. And I think California Chrome is going to have the race of his life in terms of the competition.
I'm just saying, listen, he's a big, beautiful chestnut. He's America's horse. You're really getting a lot of people that are behind him. I'm just saying, it wouldn't surprise me. He's just a horse that keeps finding himself in the right places in the races. It could just work out for him. We might just get a Triple Crown winner this year.
Well, hey, if it comes down to the best horse winning the race, certainly he'll win the race, John. But again, we haven't seen the best horse win this race. We've seen a lot of outsiders, a lot of horses that had you scratching your head win this race, and that's why I'm standing firm with the dosage numbers, and that's why he's not #1 for me. Doesn't mean I won't pick it next week.
All right, well, we'll see what you do next week. Thank you. And thank you guys for watching. Make sure you come back next week. We'll see who JC picks to win the Belmont.